Good day, future nurses. Now let's proceed to our discussions in research, which topic talks about the research designs and methodology. This section serves as the blueprint of the study, outlining the systemic procedure and strategies employed to investigate the research problems. It provides a detailed explanation of how the study was planned, conducted, and analyzed to ensure the validity, reliability, and credibility of the findings. These are the learning targets that this topic to be tackled. As you can see, what you can see on your screen, that is a design of an house, and that is a plan or structural planning of a building house. And the same way through with our research, we need to have the design and planning phase so that our research can have the good output. So the nature of the research design and methods depends on the study's problem and objectives, as different goals requires different approaches. Research design acts as the framework that connects all the parts of the study, helping our researcher organize and carry out the investigations effectively. So let's start with our research design. So these are the elements to consider in choice of the research design. There are several key elements must be considered to ensure the study is well structured and effective. These include the total of populations to be studied, the method for selecting the respondents, and any alternative forms of independent variables that might affect the results. Additionally, researchers need to identify the criterion measures that will assess outcomes and determine the appropriate statistical method to analyze the data. So considering all these elements helps ensure that the research is accurate, reliable, and aligned with our study objective. The basic research design, we have your experimental, quantitative, mixed method, qualitative, and non-experimental. So let's try to dissect each research design so that you will understand what type research design you will pursue when you're doing your research. We have your basic research design, we have your experimental, we have here the true and quasi-experiments. In the non-experimental, we have your basic and applied research, and then we have your mix. We have the combinations of experimental and non-experimental, or the combinations of qualitative and quantitative method. Okay. In the quantitative research, often referred as to hard science approach that is focuses on examining the measurable variables to identify the patterns, test the hypothesis, and determine the cause and effect relationship. And it relies on the structured data collection methods such as your survey, experiment, or standardized tests, and the uses of statistical tools to analyze the numerical data. In contrast, the qualitative research is considered a soft science because it emphasizes the understanding experiences, behavior, and events in depth. So it explored the meaning and context of the human experiences through the methods like interview, focus group discussion, and observations, producing rich descriptive data rather than numerical results. Together, these approaches offer complementary insight with quantitative research, providing precision and generalizability, and qualitative research offering the detailed understanding and the context. These are the basic research design. We have on the other side, we have your quantitative, and the other side, we have your qualitative. So let's try to uh, explain each research design. Okay, this one, that is the paradigm of your research from basic research design, from experimental to non-experimental. Okay, let's start with your experimental research. So experimental research, this design focuses on investigating the cause and effect relationship by manipulating variables and observing their effects. It is typically conducted in controlled or specialized setting, such the laboratories, experimental units, or research center, to ensure the precisions, minimize external influences, and produce reliable and valid results. Experimental research, we have two types, the true experiments and then the quasi-experiment. In terms of the true experiment, there are types of true experiment. We have the manipulations or interventions. In true experiment, the researcher actively changes or manipulates the independent variables to observe its effects on the dependent variable. In the control, that is ensure that the other factor do not influence the result, allowing the effect of the independent variable to be accurately measured. We have your control group, tinatawag. That's a group that does not receive the intervention, serving as a baseline for comparison. And then we have your experimental group, that is a group that received the intervention or treatment that is being tested. And there are types of research control. We have control of external factors that is measured, minimize outside influences that could affect the result. And then we have your control of environment that is keeping the setting consistent for all the participants. And control of time that is conducting the experiment at the same time to avoid timing effects. And interaction with the subject that is standardizing researcher interactions to prevent bias. And then we have your control of intrinsic factors that is managing participants' personal characteristic like the age, gender, or prior knowledge that could influence the outcome. Next one, we have your randomizations. That is the process of assigning participants to the different groups. It can be experimental or controlled by chance. This helps ensure that each group is similar at the start of the experiment and reduces the bias in the result. And we have your validity. When we say validity, that is refers how to accurately experiment measures what is intended to the measure. We have your internal validity, the degree to which the results are truly caused by the independent variables, not by the other factor. And then the external validity, the extent to which the findings can be applied or generalized to other settings, populations, or situations. Okay, we have your threats to internal and external validity. When we say internal validity, that is refer how confidently we can say that the changes observed in an experiment caused by the independent variable and not by the other factors. So several threats can be affect internal validity. You have your selection bias, of course, when participants are not randomly assigned, making groups unequal from the start. We have your history, that is referred to events outside the study that may influence the participant responses. Your maturations involves natural changes in participants over time that can affect the results. We have your testing, that is happens when repeated testing influence participants' performance. We have your mortality, is the loss of participants during the study, which can skew outcomes. And lastly, the instrumentations change, of course, when measurement tools or procedure change during the study, that is affecting the consistency and accuracy of the results. In external validity, that is refers to the extent to which the result of the study can be generalized to other settings, populations, or situations. And there are several factors can be threatened on the external validity. The Hawthorne effect occurs when the participants change their behavior because they know that they are being observed. Okay? And then the experiment effect happens when the experimental setting itself influences participants' responses. The reactive effect of the pretest occurs when taking a pretest affects how participant responds to the interventions. The halo effect naman is when a participant's overall impressions of the researcher or study influence their responses positively, while the Horn effect is the opposite, where a negative impressions affects responses. These factors can limit the generalizability of the study's finding. Okay, these are the types of the true experiment. We have your basic experiment. Are structured to test the effect of intervention in different way. The post-test only design measured outcomes affect the interventions without pre-testing to determine its immediate effect. The pre-test post-test design measure participants both before and after the interventions, allowing comparison of changes within and between the group. The one-shot design involves a single group receiving the interventions and then being measured through it lacks a control group, which limits causal conclusions. In the clinical trials are carefully controlled studies that test the safety and effectiveness of the medical treatment or interventions following the strict protocols. And randomized controlled trials assign participants randomly to experimental or control groups, minimizing the bias and providing the most reliable evidence of an intervention effectiveness. The Solomon four-group design combines pre-test and post-test only design to control for the effects of pre-testing and increase the internal validity. And factorial design examine the effects of two or more independent variables simultaneously, including their interactions, providing a more comprehensive understanding of influence on the outcomes. And then we have your randomized block design. Group participants with similar characteristics and then randomly assign them to the treatment, reducing the variability and improving precisions. Crossover design or switching replication design has participants receive multiple treatments in a sequential order, allowing each group to serve as the both experimental and control at the different times, which help compare intervention within the same participants. Okay, we have your quasi-experiments. Design are used when random assignment of participant is not possible, but the researcher still aims to examine the cause and effect relationship. In non-equivalent control group, before and after the design, both experimental and control groups are measured before and after the interventions, but participants are not randomly assigned, which may result in group differences. The cohort design follows a specific group of individuals over time to observe changes or effects of an intervention or exposure. The time series design involves repeated measurements of a single group over time before and after an interventions, allowing researchers to detect trends or changes that occurs as a result of the treatment. Okay, let's proceed to your non-experimental research. In non-experimental research, the researcher does not interfere with the nature and conditions for research are realistic or natural. There are types of non-experimental research. We have your basic or library research, applied research, or action research. In basic research or library research, it is intended to increase the knowledge in science for the purpose of knowing and learning the truth. In applied research or action research, it is undertaken for practical purposes. It also a scientific investigations conducted to generate knowledge that will directly influence or improve clinical practice. Okay, there are types of applied research. We have your historical research. It's a type of research that focuses on studying the past events to understand their causes, development, and impact. And it aims to identify how past experiences, decision, or condition relate to and influence the present. By analyzing historical records, documents, and other resources, researchers can gain insight into patterns and lessons that remain relevant today. In descriptive research, on the other hand, seek to gather information about the current status of a phenomena. It describes what exists by observing, recording, and analyzing conditions as they naturally without manipulating any variables. This type of research helps provide an accurate picture of a situation or a group at a given time. Okay, let's talk about the descriptive research or exploratory design aims to provide an accurate picture of a phenomena by describing its characteristic as they naturally occur. One common type is the descriptive normative survey, which gather data to describe practices, beliefs, or opinions and compares them with established norms or standards. In correlational or explanatory studies, seek to determine the relationship between two or more variables explaining how they are connected without manipulating them. In comparative studies, examine the similarities and differences between two or more groups, situations, or variables to understand patterns and relationship. In descriptive evaluative survey or methodological studies, focus on assessing the effectiveness, efficiency, or quality of program, tools, or processes. In problem-solving or decision-making studies, aims to analyze specific issues and propose appropriate solutions based on the data. A case study is an in-depth examination of a single individual's group or event or situation to explore cause and outcomes in details. In content analysis, this is systematically examine documents, speeches, media, or other communication forms to identify patterns, themes, or meaning. Feasibility study assess whether a proposed plan, program, or project is practical and achievable. Cross-sectional or sequential designs collect data from different groups at a one time to compare differences across age, settings, or conditions. Cross-sectional research design combine cross-sectional and longitudinal approaches to study multiple groups over time. And lastly, longitudinal design involves repeated observations of the same subject over a long period to detect changes and developmental trends. Let's proceed to the advantages and disadvantages of non-experimental research. In non-experimental research has several advantages and disadvantages that researcher must consider. Among its advantages, it is often retrospective and less expensive since it makes use of existing data or naturally occurring situation rather than requiring controlled experiment. It also allows for adequate time to collect and analyze the data. Easy cooperation from participants since no intervention are introduced and greater chances of funding when targeting a large or representative populations. However, there are also disadvantages. Non-experimental research is not capable of estimating causal relationship as accurately as experimental research. It is not suitable for testing new products or procedure and less effective in developing theories, principles, or concepts. So additionally, it is often not recognized as true scientific research, which can make it difficult to secure financial or institutional support. Next one, we have the combined experimental and non-experimental research design. Combined experimental and non-experimental research design, these are the called partial experiment or partially controlled non-experimental design because they do not have full control over all variable like true experiment do. In this research, extraneous variables, factors outside the researcher's control, may influence the result. As the result, the data collected may become less accurate or reliable since these uncontrolled factors can affect the outcomes of the study. Quantitative and qualitative research design. Both qualitative and quantitative research design are considered systematic as each follow an organized process to collect and analyze the data. Having a structured system or process is a fundamental principle of all the type of research. In general, quantitative research is viewed as objective, focusing on numerical data and measurable variables. In contrast, qualitative research is often subjective, emphasizing personal experiences, meanings, and interpretation to gain deeper insight into the human behavior and social phenomena. Both quantitative and qualitative research are systematic in their approach, meaning they follow an organized process to gather and analyze data. However, they differ in focus and purpose. Quantitative research is objective, aiming to measure and analyze the relationship between the variables using a deductive approach that tests the theories. It seeks to generalize findings to larger populations and primarily deals with the numbers and statistical analysis. On the other hand, qualitative research is subjective, focusing on understanding meaning, experiences, and perspective through an inductive process that builds theories from data. It does not aim to generalize findings, but instead provide deep insight into the specific situations using words and descriptive data to explain human behavior and social interactions. Quantitative research. Quantitative research involves the manipulations and control of research situation to test the hypothesis and verify the result. It relies on empirical data or information gathered through observation and measurement using the senses, ensuring that findings are based on the objective evidences. This approach focuses on obtaining measurable and verifiable results. However, while quantitative research emphasizes objectivity, it is a less concerned with the personal or subjective meaning or experiences, which is the main focus of qualitative research. These are the types of quantitative research. Includes several types or designs that help researchers collect and analyze measurable data systematically. Surveys are used to gather information from a large group of respondents through questionnaires or interview to describe opinions, behavior, or characteristic. We have your methodological research focused on developing, testing, and improving research instrument or procedure to ensure accuracy and reliability. Developmental research design studies growth and change over time, often used in education and psychology to understand patterns of development. Evaluative research assesses the effectiveness or impact of programs, policies, or interventions to guide improvements. Content analysis involves systematically analyzing written, verbal, or visual communication to identify patterns or trends. Clinical trials or intervention research tests the safety and effectiveness of treatment or procedure under the controlled conditions. Lastly, secondary analysis uses existing data collected by other researchers to answer new questions or verify previous findings. Rigors in quantitative research is best achieved through careful attention to accuracy, consistency, and objectivity at every stage of the study. It is best achieved through deliberate technical planning, the use of reliable scientific sources to ensure accurate data collections and measurement. Researchers must also practice diligent and ongoing reflexivity, being aware of their own thoughts, interests, motives, values, and roles that may influence the research process. Additionally, honest and transparent interactions between the researcher and the target population is essential to build the trust, promote ethical conduct, and ensures that the study's findings are valid, credible, and reflective of reliability. These are the steps in doing a quantitative study. We have your phase one. In phase one, we have 6 steps. The first phase in conducting quantitative study involves the careful planning and development of the study foundations. It begins with stating the research problems and purpose, which clearly identifies what the study aims to investigate and why it is important. Next, the researcher reviews the related literature and studies to understand existing knowledge, identify the research gaps, and strengthen the study's rationale. A pre-survey or clinical fieldwork may then be conducted to gather preliminary data, assess feasibility, and refine research tools. Afterward, the researchers formulates a theoretical framework and conceptual paradigm to guide the study and illustrate the relationship among variables. Finally, the researcher defines variables and formulates hypotheses to specify what will be measured and to predict the possible relationship between the variables. So this phase ensures that the study is grounded, systematic, and ready for the data collections. In phase 2 of quantitative study, the focus is on the developing clear and organized plan for conducting the research. The researcher begins by choosing an appropriate research design that best fits for the study of the purpose and objective. Next, they formulate an intervention or treatment program if the study involves testing the effect of a specific variables or procedure. The target population is identified to determine who will participate in the study, followed by selecting a sampling design to decide how participants will be chosen. The researcher also specifies the methods and instrument for measuring the variables to ensure data accuracy and reliability. At this stage, it is essential to apply ethical principles such as obtain informed consent and ensuring confidentiality, protect participants' rights, and finally, the researcher reviews and finalizes the research plan, ensuring that all steps are coherent, feasible, and aligned with the study's goal before proceeding to the data collections. And then, let's go to the phase 3. In the third phase of the quantitative study, the researcher focuses on gathering and organizing the data needed to answer the research questions. This phase begins with the data collection, where the researcher administers survey, conducts experiment, or uses measurement instrument as planned in the research design. So it is important to ensure that the data are collected systematically and consistently to maintain the accuracy and reliability. Once the data collection is complete, the researcher proceeds to prepare the data for analysis by checking for completeness, coding responses, and organizing the information into formats suitable for statistical processing. This careful preparation ensures that the data are accurate, consistent, and ready for meaningful analysis in the next phase. Next, we have the analysis phase or the phase 4 of the quantitative study. The researcher focuses on making the sense of the collected data. This begins with analyzing the data using appropriate statistical methods to test the hypothesis and determine the relationship between the variables. The analysis may include descriptive statistics such as means and percentage, and inferential statistics such as correlation or regressions, depending on the study's objective. After the analysis, the researcher interprets the result by explaining what the findings mean in relation to the research problems, objectives, and theoretical framework. So this phase helps determine whether the hypotheses are supported or rejected and provides insight that can guide the conclusion, recommendations, and future research. Next, during this phase, the researcher examined that the data have been collected to discover what they reveal about the problems being studied. Using the appropriate statistical technique, the data are summarized, organized, and tested to see whether the evidence support or reject the hypothesis. Once the numerical analysis is complete, the researcher interprets the result, linking the findings to the study's objective, theoretical framework, and previous research. This interpretation explains the meaning and implication of the results, showing how they answered the research questions and contribute to the existing knowledge. Next, let's proceed to the qualitative research. Qualitative research focuses on gaining insight and understanding of individual perceptions about the phenomena under the study. It seeks to collect rich, in-depth, and meaningful data that explore people's thoughts, feelings, and experiences, often uncovering hidden meanings behind their actions. This type of research is generally non-experimental, as it does not manipulate variables but instead observes and interprets naturally occurring situations. A bricolier is a researcher who becomes deeply immersed in the study situation, creatively using various methods, tools, and perspectives to understand the complex human experiences. The process of bricolage refers to the combination and integration of the different data collection and analysis techniques to capture the full depth and complexity of the phenomenon. Informants are the individuals who provide data or insight for the study, sharing their personal experiences and perspective to help the researcher understand the subject more deeply. Rigor in qualitative research ensures that the study findings are trustworthy, accurate, truly reflect the participant experiences. It is established through several key criteria. Credibility refers to confidence in truth of the findings and is achieved through techniques such as prolonged engagement with participants, triangulations, and member checking. Confirmability ensures that the results are based on the participant experiences rather than the researcher bias. Maintain true transparency, flexibility, and adult trail or audit trail. Dependability focuses on the stability and consistency of the research process, which is strengthened by the clearly documenting procedures and any changes made during the study. Transferability relates to the extent to which finding can be applied to other settings or groups. supported by detailed descriptions of the context and participants. Lastly, authenticity ensures that the research fairly and faithfully represent participants' genuine experiences and perspective, capturing the richness and depth of their lived realities. These are the types of qualitative research. Include several types designed that aims to explore human experiences and social phenomena in depth. Phenomenological studies focuses on understanding people's lived experiences and meanings they attach to them. Ethnographic studies involves immersing the researcher in a cultural or social group to observe and interpret shared behaviors, beliefs, and practices. Grounded theory studies seek to develop a theory based on the data collected from the participants, explaining how certain processes or interaction occurs. Historical studies examine past events to understand their influence on the present using document, records, and other historical sources. Case studies provide an in-depth analysis of a single individual's, group, or situation to gain detailed understanding of a specific phenomena. Biographies explore the life experiences of an individuals, often told through their own stories or account from others, to understand personal and social development. Critical theory research examine issues of power, inequality, and social justice, aiming to bring about changes in society. The feminist approach focuses on women's experiences, highlighting gender inequalities and advocating for empowerment and equality. Participatory action research involves collaborations between researchers and participants to identify the problems, implement solutions, and promote social changes. And lastly, focus group research gathered insight from a small group of participants through guided discussions, guiding interaction, and sharing of ideas about a particular topic or experiences. And now let's proceed to the phenomenological studies. This approach, known the phenomenological approach, investigates the everyday lived experiences of people to understand how they perceive and make sense of particular phenomena. In this method, the researchers suspend or set aside a preconceived ideas and personal biases, a process called efficacy, to focus purely on the participant's perspective. Phenomenology aims to uncover the essence and meaning of human experiences as they are lived. Tradition within this approach include hermeneutics, which focus on interpreting and understanding the meaning of experiences. Human ethology, which studies human behavior in natural settings. Transcendental phenomenology, which seeks to describe experiences objectively by bracketing the researcher assumptions. And existential phenomenology, which emphasizes individual existence, freedoms, and personal meaning in a lived experiences. Phenomenology has several types or traditions, each focusing on a different aspect of human experiences and interpretations. Descriptive phenomenology aims to describe experiences as they live without adding interpretations by setting aside the researcher biases to reveal the pure essence of phenomenon. Phenomenology of essences seek to uncover the essential meaning or core structures that define a particular experience shared by individuals. Phenomenology of appearances focuses on how things present themselves to human consciousness and how individuals perceive them. Constitutive phenomenology examines how meaning is constructed or constituted in the mind through experiences and perception. Reductive phenomenology involves systematically reducing or bracketing personal assumptions to focus only on what is being directly experienced. Interpretative phenomenology goes beyond description by exploring how individuals make sense of their experiences through interpretations. And lastly, hermeneutic phenomenology emphasizes the understanding and interpreting the deeper meaning of lived experiences, often combining reflection, interpretations, and narrative to reveal human understanding. Mixed method or multi-method studies. Mixed method research integrates both qualitative and quantitative data within a single study or coordinated set of studies to provide more comprehensive understanding of a research problem. This approach combines the strength of both paradigms, quantitative research objectivity and precision with qualitative research depth and contextualized insight by incorporating multiple forms of data collections and analysis. Mixed method research allows researchers to validate findings and uncover complex relationships that might not be evident when using a single approach. It employs a triangulation approach to data analysis, where data from various sources or methods are compared, cross-verified, and synthesized to enhance the validity and reliability of the result. This integration leads to a richer, more holistic interpretations of the phenomena under the study. Advantages of integrating triangulations method. In research offers several significant advantages. First, it enhances validity by cross-verifying data gathered through multiple methods, ensuring that findings are consistent and credible. Second, it complements data by combining different perspectives, which provides a more comprehensive understanding of the research problems. Third, it helps to validate data as the convergence of the result from various sources strengthen the accuracy and reliability of the conclusions. And lastly, triangulations create new frontiers in research by encouraging innovations and expanding knowledge boundaries, allowing researchers to explore complex phenomena from multiple angles and develop more robust theoretical and practical insights. Importance of mixed methods. Research lies in its ability to combine the strengths of both quantitative and qualitative approaches to produce more comprehensive understanding of a research problem. It enhances instrumentations by allowing researchers to use multiple tools and techniques for data collection, ensuring more accurate and holistic result. It also supports the generations and testing of hypotheses, as qualitative findings can formulate hypotheses that can later be tested quantitatively. In the presentation of data, mixed methods allow for richer and more meaningful interpretations by integrating numerical data with narrative insight. Furthermore, it helps demonstrate causal relationship and processes, providing both statistical evidence and contextual explanation for observed patterns. And finally, it contributes to theory building, testing, and refinement as the integration of different data types deepens theoretical understanding and allows researchers to validate or modify existing frameworks based on the well-rounded evidence. Strategies used for mixed methods are to effectively integrate both qualitative and quantitative approaches within a single study. One strategy is the qualitative analysis of survey methods, where open-ended responses from survey are examined to uncover the deeper meanings, insights, and explanation behind quantitative results. Another strategy involves incorporating quantitative measure into ethnography, where numerical data such as frequency counts or statistical patterns are used to complement rich observational and cultural findings gathered through ethnographic research. And third, a strategy is incorporating qualitative data into experimental studies, in which interviews, focus group, or observation are used alongside experiment to provide contextual understanding of participants' behavior, experiences, or reactions. So these strategies enhance the depth, validity, and interpretative strength of mixed method research by ensuring that both numerical precisions and human experiences are meaningfully combined. These are the steps in doing a qualitative study in phase 1. Uh, in this phase, study involves the foundational step that set the directions and focus on the research. The first step is to identify the research problem, which focuses on understanding human experiences, behavior, or social phenomena in depth. So after identifying the problem, the researcher proceeds to review related literature or studies to gain insight into existing knowledge, gaps, and theoretical perspective related to the topic. And next, the researcher selects an appropriate research site and gains entry, which involves choosing a natural setting where the phenomena occurs and obtaining permissions or establishing rapport with participants or gatekeepers. Finally, the researcher formulates an overall research strategies and address ethical issues ensuring the study design aligns with the research objectives while protecting participant rights, confidentiality, and well-being. This space establishes the groundwork for a credible and ethically sound qualitative investigations. Next, phase 2 of the qualitative study focuses on the active process of data collections, analysis, and validations. So during this phase, the researcher begin gathering initial findings through interview, observation, or discussion to explore participants' lived experiences or perspective. Through continuous observation and discussion, deeper insights are developed as the researcher immerses in the study setting. The collected information is clustered into findings, where the related ideas or responses are grouped together to identify emerging patterns and themes that describe the phenomena. As the study progresses, data saturation is reached, the point where no new information or themes emerge despite continued data collections. To ensure the trustworthiness of the data, the researchers employ strategies such as member checking, triangulation, and maintaining an adult trail. Finally, debriefing is conducted to reflect on the processes, validate the interpretations, and ensure that the finding is accurately represent participants' experiences. This phase ensures that the qualitative data are credible, rich, and meaningful. Phase 3 of the qualitative study involves systematic organization and analysis of the collective data. During this phase or stage, this researcher begins transcribing all the data verbatim, ensuring that every word, pause, and expression from interview or discussion is accurately documented. These processes maintain the authenticity and integrity of the participant responses. Next, the researcher develops a category scheme, organizing the data into meaningful groups or themes that reflect recurring ideas and patterns. The content analysis of the narrative data is then conducted to interpret the deeper meanings, emotions, and the relationship embedded within the participant's word. Finally, the researcher proceed with coding qualitative data, where the labels or codes are assigned to specific segments of the text to systematically identify significant themes or concepts. This phase allows the researcher to transform raw qualitative data into organized, interpretable insight that captures the essence of the participants' experiences. Next, mixed method research combines both quantitative and qualitative approaches in a single study to provide more comprehensive understanding of a research problem. There are four main types of mixed method design. One is sequential explanatory design. This design begins with quantitative data collections and analysis, followed by qualitative data to explain or elaborate on the quantitative result. It helps clarify unexpected findings and provides deeper insight into numerical outcomes. Next, we have your sequential exploratory design. In this approach, the researcher starts with qualitative data collections and analyze to explore phenomena in depth, then follow with quantitative methods to test or generalize the initial findings. It is useful when developing a new instrument or theories. Concurrent triangulation design. Both qualitative and quantitative data are collected at the same time and then compared or integrated to confirm, cross-validate, or corroborate findings. This design strengthens the validity and reliability of the result through triangulations. And then concurrent nested design, this involves collecting both qualitative and quantitative data simultaneously, but one method, either qualitative or quantitative, is given more emphasis. The less dominant method supports or provides additional insight into the main approach. Together, this mixed method design allows researchers to draw from the strength of both quantitative precision and qualitative depth, leading to more holistic understanding of complex research questions. So these are the research instructors for research ones. And if you have any questions or queries regarding our topic in terms of research designs and planning, you can approach me and you can message me anytime. And these are the references for our topic for today. And thank you for listening. Have a good day, everyone.